This is Ray.
And this is Andy.
And this is FDS Local Sports.
How you doing, Ray?
I'm doing fantastic.
Cold out, huh?
It is a nail biter out there tonight.
Yeah, it really took a turn for the worse in a hurry.
Winter's here. The only thing I can hope for is that spring comes a little bit earlier, so that way we can get into some Mountain Woods golf talk a little earlier in 2019.
Well, all right. Well, we'll deal with that when the time comes.
All right. Andy, where's your Ticats gear? Big game this weekend.
Huge win for the Ticats last weekend, and the only thing that would trump that in football is if somebody else won, and we'll just leave it at that.
All right. Well, This weekend is your CFL Eastern and Western Finals. The Ticats are going to be traveling to Ottawa to take on the Red Blacks. And you people can see that I'm decked out in Red Blacks, and I'd love to give you my game prediction right here and right now, but you're going to have to tune into our CFL podcast to hear those details.
There you go.
All right.
I'm sure that prediction will be spot on.
Spot on. You want to talk some AUS football?
Yes.
Because what a weekend in the AUS.
Yeah, the Loney Bowl.
The Loney Bowl took place in Halifax at St. Mary's. And Andy, what a day for football this was.
Yeah.
I came out of my house at 7 o'clock. I was being picked up. And the roads were atrocious. From the time we left Moncton to the time we got to Amherst, we saw 6 cars in the ditch on the highway heading to Halifax.
That was the day it just rained really hard, right?
It rained later in the day, but when we left in the morning,
snow.
It was snow, freezing rain. It was a mess on Saturday.
Right.
Heading to Halifax. And we'll get into the high school final in a few minutes because they played in Mount A, and we'll talk about that. But when we got to Halifax, it poured all afternoon. It was a cold, wet day in St. Mary's.
Great day to be on the sidelines, right?
And it had a huge impact on this game. St. Mary's had 4 costly turnovers in this game. 2 fumbles. 2 interceptions. One of those interceptions ended up being a pick 6 into the end zone.
Ouch.
For Dylan Bell. St. X came into this game, and they did what they had to do. We talked about that offensive line and them getting that running game going. Well, Jordan Shoshalachuk, he put up 179 yards of rushing in this game.
They definitely controlled the ball.
Keon Julian Grant, they did a good job containing him. He had 3 catches for 42 yards, no touchdowns. But those 3, other than, the one that went for 6 points really hurt them. But the other 3 turnovers gave X short field to work with. And Wasdale did what, he didn't have to do a lot in this game. He goes 6 for 8, 90 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. But Wasdale actually rushed the ball in for 2 touchdowns this game, 1 from 2 yards out, 1 from 1 yard out. And X really just controlled this game right from the start. They were the first team to score. They made it 3-0 with a field goal from Burnham. And the game was 33-3 in the fourth quarter when SMU got their first score of the game, and this game ended up at 33-9.
Got it. I caught a bunch of the game on aus.tv, and again, Ray was out there on the sidelines, very aware of when he was on camera. There was one particular play I was a little disappointed in. It was, if you recall, there were back-to-back fumbles. And the first fumble, you were the first guy on the scene, right in there. I was watching it live. It was incredibly obvious to me that it was a fumble. And then after I saw the replay, which you can see on aus.tv, you can't see. It was even more obvious that it was a fumble. And I was waiting for you to give that signal. I could tell you were just itching to give that signal, and you just wouldn't do it. What was going through your mind?
Well, we had to have a little crew discussion on that play.
Okay.
On the play that you're talking about. Actually, on that play, there was a little bit of a controversy. Not controversy, but we had a little bit of a mistake as a crew. There was an inadvertent whistle on that play.
Oh.
That's what the discussion was.
Okay.
And that's why there was a delay in getting the signal to what was going to happen with that ball.
Okay, so the inadvertent whistle, basically, the whistle was blown too soon, maybe? Or,
yeah, the ball, it was whistled too soon.
Never even noticed that on the broadcast. Just noticed that there was a fumble, and we were waiting for, and they were wondering what the heck you guys were talking about.
Yeah, the offense has choices if they're going to want to take the ball at the where the play ended, or do they want to redo the play? X was in control of the ball after the fumble, so it was just straightforward. It was first down, and we were moving forward.
There you go.
All right. But again, this game was a really good game. Caleb Scott. I came out for my pregame walk, saw him out on the field. I knew he was starting right off the bat. And what was interesting, Andy, they talked a lot about the fact that he had a high ankle sprain issue, but he had a brace around his knee. It had nothing around his ankle that I noticed.
So the high ankle sprain, Ray, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's said to be more of a knee injury than an actual ankle injury.
Really?
Yeah. So
I didn't hear any commentary on this yet at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the high ankle sprain is just something that plagues offensive linemen a lot in the NFL, and if somebody can get plagued by something in the NFL, the Browns experience it. So I've heard plenty of commentary over the years about high ankle sprains. It's the worst possible sprain down in that area that even involves the ankle. But from what I continue to hear, the high ankle sprain is more of a knee injury.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, so that makes sense.
Caleb Scott put up 208 yards passing. He put up 40 yards rushing. He just didn't seem to be the same Caleb Scott I saw a month and a half ago. He didn't have that same ability. And we talked so much about the fact that they were going to have to get their running game going and control the clock and control the ball in this game.
Yeah.
And Simon Kinda, their rookie running back, he put up 47 yards, but that was the best they were able to produce for offense. They just had a tough time handling the ball this day.
For sure. Yep.
So there you go. Couple other things that I want to mention. Dylan Bell, we talked about the fact he's the one that got the interception, took it in for a touchdown. He also had a forced fumble and a recovery, and he also had 5.5 tackles on the day. A kid by the name of Alex Fedchurn, he had 2.5 sacks, also a forced fumble and recovery as well. So the defense for X really stepped in this game, and they, Andy, are off to the UTeck Bowl in Laval because Laval knocked off Montreal on this same weekend.
Should be a heck of a game.
Should be a great game. Let's talk about these two games for a second. So St. X finishes up the year 6-2 in the AUS. Laval finishes up the year at 8-0 in the Quebec Conference.
Yeah,
we've already talked. I mean, you've heard me talk about how strong X is. Okay, they've got a great coach in Gary Waterman. Wasdale, we've talked about him all year. Shashalachuk finished up the year with 1,009 yards and 5 touchdowns, led the U Sports League for rushing in 2018, so good for him.
Yeah.
The big player for Laval is their quarterback. He's ranked 7th overall across Canada. His name is Hugo Richard. He threw for 2,185 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions this year. So this guy is very good at putting points on the board. And the other thing about this guy, Andy,
very good at protecting the ball.
Good at protecting the ball. And they don't have a dominant receiver. When you look at both these teams, Keon Julian Grant has the best stats out of both teams. But Hugo likes to spread the ball around because they have 3 or 4 receivers with good stats. Okay?
Why wouldn't you? Throw it to the open guy.
X has still got some great defenders. When you look at the top 50 defenders across U Sports, Gordon White, 51 tackles. Dylan Bell, who we just talked about in the Loney Bowl, and a kid by the name of Tyler Cadero also had 36 tackles and a sack this year. So this is going to be a really good game. I just want to give you a couple other points here. In the AUS, St. X outscored their opponents 227 to 156, while Laval outscored their opponents 307 to 54.
Okay.
Big difference as far as numbers here go.
Yeah.
But here's the one thing I want to talk about. Laval is a dominant football team across Canada. They have been for years, okay? But when you look at their conference, I see a lot of positive stuff here for X. When you look at their conference, Montreal was the only team that gave them a challenge this year. And in both those games, Laval won the first game 12-7, and the second game was 18-15. So it wasn't big scores, okay? And the other three teams in the conference, you got Concordia, they went 2-6, McGill 2-6, and Sherbrooke 2-6. So I'm not overconfident that this conference is as strong as they may get credit for compared to the AUS.
I mean, I guess time will tell, Ray. I mean, in the end, if you're in a 5-team conference and 2 of your teams are really dominant, then there's not a lot of wins to be had for the other 3 teams, and they're just kind of splitting when they play each other. So it's very difficult to compare, what Laval did and what X ended up doing in these 2 different conferences. So for the very first time, we're going to find out what that comparison truly is, because they're going to face off on the field. And, it sounds like you're leaning towards us seeing in a much more competitive UTeck Bowl than we, may have expected in the past. We'll see how this goes.
I'm really hoping that it's going to be a competitive game. Listen, Bailey Wallisdale has really impressed me in his first year in the AUS. And again, if they can get that running game going, if they can get their running back,
that'll be the key.
Number 34. If 34 can run that ball again, right?
Yeah.
And put up the stats he's been putting up this year.
Yeah.
And they can get the ball to Keon in open space. Look out, folks. St. X has got a really good chance in this game. And again, I can't forget to mention Coach Gary Waterman, because this guy is one of the best, and he will have his team ready to go.
Yeah, at time of possession and controlling the ball is going to be their best friend. As you mentioned, Laval is an air attack team, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to come if X can run the ball effectively and chew up a bunch of clock and dominate time of possession, there's a chance.
There's a chance.
Yeah.
I just have to send out a quick shout out to 3.5 other guys for this game.
3.5.
I'll tell you this in a second. We've got our football officials. We had 3 officials going to this game from New Brunswick. You have Chris Wall, Patrick Fairweather out of Fredericton, and you had Moncton's own Jim Fowler.
Okay.
And after the Loney Bowl, Jim Fowler, he's been dealing with some hamstring issues and had to pull himself out of the UTeck Bowl, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
He's still going to join us for our Vanier trip, but he had to pull himself out of the UTeck Bowl. So Nova Scotia's own Mama, pass me the cookies. Barry DeBay is going to the UTeck.
Nice. Okay. Well, I'm trying to do the math here really quickly. So maybe you mean 2.5 versus 3.5.
Whatever, Andy.
Sorry, Ray. I mean, when you start out like that, I'm going to listen attentively, try to figure out what the heck you're talking about.
All I'm telling you.
Well done, Barry. All right. Protect yourself out there.
Protect yourself out there. And please don't let Mama forget your cookies. There you go.
Yeah. That
is your UTeck preview. Now, on the other side of the country, let's just talk about the Mitchell Bowl, because that's coming up that's coming up in Ontario.
Yeah.
But everybody was expecting Western to be hosting Calgary for this game.
Sure.
It's not happening.
Oh boy. What's going on?
Saskatchewan upset Calgary in their final, the Western final.
Okay.
And Saskatchewan knocked off Calgary 43-18.
That's not an upset. That's a rout.
That's a rout.
Wow.
Kyle Simmons, 263 yards and a touchdown. Their running back, Tyler Chow, 222 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Woo. And
their wide receiver, Colton Klassen, puts up 137 yards. Now, Calgary's got a quarterback. His name's Adam Singra. In 2016, when I was out there, it was his first year, and he was kind of a gadget quarterback that came in.
Okay.
This kid is an amazing talent. He's an unbelievable athlete, But in this game, he puts up 286 yards, 1 touchdown, and then 4 interceptions.
Tough day.
That's not going to win you a championship.
No. When the other team's running the ball for 222 yards and turning the ball over like that, you can't win. So I'm not surprised at all at 43-18.
So the Mitchell Bowl goes at Western this weekend coming up. And if you remember last year, Western they won the U Sports Championship last year, the Vanier Cup. Mm-hmm. And these guys are still ranked number 1 in the country. These guys have an unbelievable football team. Quarterback Chris Merchant, running backs Cedric Joseph and Alex Taylor, wide receivers Cole Majors and Harvey McMaster, and their defense is led by Fraser Sopic.
All right.
We're going to see one of those 2 teams in Quebec, not this weekend, but next weekend.
Yeah, we're hitting the road the weekend after next.
That's it.
Yeah. No, the weekend after this one. So next weekend.
Yeah.
You had it right. Yeah, we're hitting the road. We're going to the Vanier Cup. I'm tagging along with Ray and a bunch of his ref pals, and I'll update you guys. We'll go live a little bit here and there, but I'll update you guys on just how easy it is to try to channel out some of the ref discussions and so on and so forth. I have no idea what to expect, Ray, but I have to document this, so that's my excuse. I'm not driving.
You're not driving.
Not happening.
We are going to give Andy his own flag, his own whistle. And we're going to try our best to make sure at the Vanier Cup that Andy Jardine gets to throw his first flag on the field during a Vanier Cup.
Yeah, and I'll try not to throw too many of them in the car on the way there too.
All right, there you go. That is your University U Sports update, Andy. We've got another big game to talk about.
Yes,
because the 10-man provincial final here in New Brunswick was played on Saturday as well. And again, the weather was horrendous.
Yeah.
The NBIAA advised St. Stephen that the game had to be played on a turf field.
Okay.
And out of all the turf fields in New Brunswick,
they chose the furthest one away.
Coach Neil Grant chose Mount A.
Okay.
Now, there's a whole story on why he chose Mount A, and I'd love to tell you that story right now, but we are going to have an exclusive interview with Coach Neil Grant in the next couple weeks, and he's going to tell us the story on why he chose Mount A as the field to play on.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to hear that, and until I get to hear it directly from him, I'm going to go on record and say it was a stupid decision.
Stupid decision.
It was. Why would you travel, especially with the way the weather ended up happening? You can find a turf field closer to both these schools. Seemed a little excessive. Sackville's a wonderful football town, but right now it's dominated by students and fans of the Titans and Mounties. So,
well, you're going to be very interested then why he chose this field, because he has some very tight connections to the town of Sackville.
Good. Okay. Well, fair enough then. I can't wait to hear it. I'll admit, I'll take back the stupid decision at that time.
All right.
Until then, though, stupid decision.
All right, let's move on. So this big game was played against KV, Kennebecasis High School, against St. Stephen. These two teams met in the provincial final last year, and KV won this championship against St. Stephen. So this was a rematch in 2018, and St. Stephen took advantage because they won this ball game 14-3 in some nasty conditions. Let me just tell you how nasty they are. Yeah. How many passes do you think St. Stephen completed in this ball game?
It's hard to say. I mean, they're a running team anyways, right? With that, what is it they play? The wishbone?
T-wing.
The T-wing? All right. But I don't know. I'm going to say they completed 2.
Let's go 1.
They
pass. They completed 1 pass for 14 yards. It happened to be a touchdown, though.
Wow, that's as good as 7 completions.
There you go. Yeah. But this team runs the ball. They've run the ball right from the beginning of the season. Nothing's changed. Kyle Stewart, 53 yards, a touchdown. Blake Young puts up 77 yards. Hunter Milligan, 46 yards. And Luke Ross, 61 yards. We've been talking about these 4 kids all year as far as running the ball goes. On defense, again, Deegan Farrell, 9.5 tackles. This kid is a monster on defense. And that's your high school final. 14-3. St. Stephen wins it over KV at Mount A.
Congratulations, guys. Congratulations, KV, as well, on getting to the final again. And a heck of a little revenge game for St. Stephen. They came out on top in Sackville, of all places. So,
well, I think it was a really special year. You had two, you had a couple 12-man teams drop down to...
And an interesting year in this 10-man division.
Right. There's 3 12-man teams drop down to the 10-man division. And these 2 10-man powerhouses showed them that they really are the powerhouse of this division.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
That's high school football. That's a wrap for high school football this year.
That's it. We won't be talking about high school football again until next season, or unless some fireworks happen this off season. Well, not that doesn't normally happen.
Exactly. Now we do. Just so you know, on the high school side, we're going to stick with our plan of we're going to be interviewing Coach Scott O'Neill at one point. We're going to be interviewing Coach Neil Grant, and if we're lucky, maybe we'll get a couple players from those schools as well.
Okay.
All right.
There you go.
That's high school.
All right. How about we finish this off going back to a team that we haven't talked about in a little while.
Okay.
And that's Moncton Mustangs.
The Mustangs.
So this Saturday night at 6 p.m. at the Rocky Stone. What is it called? The Rocky Stone Lounge?
Rocky Stone Lounge.
All right. Where I spend a lot of time when we're at Moncton Mustangs games. Yeah. It's actually the Moncton Mustangs Hall of Fame ceremony where they'll be inducting a few players into the Hall of Fame. We will not disclose who that is at the moment. And then...
Real tight.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to be giving out some team awards. There will be the Brian Agnew Memorial Award as well. There's going to be a live auction there. And the main attraction is we're going to be there. We're going to be
First Down Sports, we're going to be there. You can come meet the First Down Sports personalities.
Yeah. So we expect the place to be just overflowing.
Tickets are still available.
Might be a fire hazard, really.
Yes.
We're going to be careful.
Tickets are still available, but they're going quickly now that it's been announced we're going to be there. And if you want some information on that, go to the Mustangs Facebook page or their Twitter handle and shoot them a message, and I'm sure they'll show you how to get hooked up with some tickets for this event.
There it is, and that's local sports for this week. Enjoy the games on the weekend, whichever ones you're watching. And again, if you want to hear a little CFL talk, find our podcast, firstdownsportspodcast.com, and Ray will give you that prediction he keeps talking about.
My officiating season is over, Andy. So I don't have to worry about the black and white anymore. I can call it like I want to call it, and I want to send out good luck to 2 teams heading into the weekend. Of course, my Red Blacks and the Saint of X X-Men. Best of luck this weekend, boys, and we'll see you next week.
Later, guys.